Hi, this is Bridget, your sobriety coach. Welcome to Sober Saturday, Part 2. And I appreciate you joining me. If something happens, I'm going to just go ahead and finish this entire video. And you can always come back and watch it later. I was having some technical difficulties early, but I appreciate the ones who tuned in. And I thank you for joining me again. Was always taught that no matter if it's one person, 1,000 people, or zero, the message still has to be delivered. So that is what I'm going to do. This morning, technical difficulties will not stop this. Thank you very much. Today is Sober Saturday Part 2, and we will discuss the changes in recovery from the time that the person makes a decision or the time that the person has been told or the discussion has taken place about them having an addiction problem. So I'm going to walk through the stages. We may not get through all stages today, but I do want to identify some of the stages today. Identify them, discuss things to consider in each stage, strategies and outcomes, and identify what that looked like for me. And my purpose for this today is to bring about awareness for the people who are suffering in silence, because an addiction is an addiction. It doesn't make a difference if it's alcoholism, drugs, sex, gambling, spending money, anything. An addiction is an addiction, and people are struggling and having problems with it, and they need help. And as the people on the outside looking in, thank you for joining me again. You can always tell when it's going to be something good because everything tries to get in the way. But we're going to keep going, and we're going to talk about it and discuss. This morning, one of the first things I wanted to talk about, or this afternoon, was what addiction and recovery looks like. I read it earlier, so I'll go back and read it again because I think I deleted the other ones just in case. Addiction begins with the hope that something out there can instantly fill up the emptiness we feel on the inside. That was the definition for addiction. And then it talks about recovery begins with the realization that filling up the emptiness is an inside job. And I like that because that's exactly where my focus is on my recovery. Because I remember hearing someone say that the front windshield of your car is larger than your rear window. And that's because you're not constantly turned around looking in the back on where you've been. I don't regret my past, nor do I wish to shut the door on it. But at the same token, I'm grateful for my past because it has molded me into the person that I am today with the message that I have to share. But at the same time, my focus is face forward. Face forward. That's where my focus is. My focus for me, for Bridget, in this road of recovery is that I'm focused on my recovery. And I don't claim to be something that God has delivered me from. Now, do I still have those tendencies? Of course I do. Because faith without works is dead. And if I don't put in the work, then I'm not going to receive the benefits of it. So I don't have a problem putting in the work. So today, let's discuss that. One of the first stages of change is pre-contemplation. And that's a stage where, and if you see me look from left to right, I'm reading notes and looking at technology and making sure that I'm giving you the information. And I got this information from a friend. She is a licensed addiction counselor. And I went to her and asked her for some information that I could use to share with you. And this is just for your knowledge, to help you understand how to deal with, how to be patient with, how to have compassion and love and support the people, your loved ones, your co-workers, family, friends, church members, or people in your atmosphere, people in your energy that are suffering. And first of all, let me go back and say this. no one can tell another person that you're an alcoholic. No one could tell me. No one could come up and say, oh, Bridget, you're an alcoholic. That's not for anybody to say or do. I had to come to that conclusion on my own. Now, people could make suggestions as they did. My holistic doctor was like, hey, you got some bad problems with your liver and your organs are struggling. And if you keep drinking like this, you're going to suffer if you don't kill yourself, etc., etc. Hi, Shawnee. Hi, my big sis. Thank you, Lucky Luck. I love that name. And I hope I said it right. I'm sorry. But thank you, ladies, for joining me. So I stayed in the pre-contemplation stage for about 3 or 4 years. And that's the stage where let me go back. I really stayed in this stage about 35 years. Because again, you've heard me say this and I'll repeat it again. I had no idea I was an alcoholic. I just knew that I loved to party. I love to drink and have a blast and be the life of the party and bob and weave and giggle and cut up and just have fun. But somewhere along that fun, I crossed the line and I became an alcoholic, a serious alcoholic. I didn't drink every day, but when I did drink, I made up for lost time, etc., etc. But it was not until my late stages of alcoholism, to my late stages of my disease, that someone brought it to my attention, hey, and I started to think, you're a little different, but I wasn't really ready to do anything about it, so I stayed in this stage longer than what I'd like to, I think, admit. But the pre-contemplation stage is you have no intention of changing your behavior. You're not even thinking about changing your behavior. You don't believe that it's a problem with your behavior. And when someone talks to you about it, you become very offensive. You're in denial. You're resistant. You could care less. I'm not trying to hear that, etc., etc. But some things to consider when you recognize this in the people that you love or the people that you know is don't be too pushy. You don't want to come off too strong. Like I said, nobody has the right to call somebody else something, unless you have a license behind your name. And even then, they don't tell you that you're an alcoholic. They just give you the symptoms of what you're doing and let you come to that on your own. But you just kind of make a person aware of the risk and problems. And, they may choose, and more than likely, they're going to continue to choose the behavior that they're doing. They're not going to be ready to stop. Also remember that change is not immediate. It takes time. It's a work in progress. And you just help move them to the next level, which is contemplation. And if you have any questions or comments, if you know anybody like that and you're trying to help them, you can ask questions or make comments, please, because the conversation or the dialogue is between you and I. So you guys throw me some comments. The outcome that you want from this first stage is just simply to help the person, that is going through this stage. You just want to kind of like pull their coattail in a very subtle and soft way with compassion to let them know, I see some things going on and it's just, I don't know what's happening, but I just wanted to let you know, what I'm seeing and I'm concerned about it. And the next stage is the contemplation. And the definition or to identify that is the person is aware a problem exists and seriously considers action, but has not yet made commitment to an action. Okay, where was I? My holistic doctor told me, or I kind of remember saying, something ain't right about you. You drink more than everybody else. Everybody else say they're going to stop at a certain time. They stop. You study drinking. Once you get that first drink in, you off to the races. So I kind of started seeing things when I was like, maybe it's just, I don't know, just me. And then I started to notice my body making changes. My body just could not physically hold the alcohol. I don't care if I drunk 3 glasses of wine. It was like, but I drunk 3 glasses of wine, but I kept drinking. You know, I drunk past my point. My body could really only hold 3 glasses, but I kept drinking no matter how many. And until I was mostly the time just in a blackout zone. But this was my last stages of alcoholism. But some more things to consider in this stage is that the people are willing to consider the problem and the possibility of change. They're willing to, well, okay, I'm going to listen to you now because I've seen some things happen that I don't like. I'm not liking what I see. You know, I'm causing damage with my family and my friends and on my job, and I'm having some problems. So, you know, let me just kind of sit and listen and see what you have to say. And you wait. It's like they're waiting for a magic moment. They're waiting for something to happen. It's going to say, boom, okay, you need to stop. And sometimes that's when they hit rock bottom and they start to realize that things are happening and things need to change. They're interested in change, but they're not committed. And there's a difference. They're interested in it. They kind of like, oh, okay, that sounds, well, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think about it. Okay, you know, let me think about it. But they're not committed to it yet. Okay. Some more things to think about. You can use like information about past change attempts. Like, if someone has had something else that they needed to do, like lose weight, or they had a project and they were working on it and it took them time to get it done, but they were successful. You know, that's something that you can kind of bring about. Oh, hey, you remember when you were working with this and you did this, but you were able to get past that? Well, you know, you can do the same thing with this. And you just give them a lot of support. That's what I needed the most. I needed people not to enable me, which a lot of my friends were. Because again, you know, I talked about it last week. My definition for enabling is doing something for someone that they can do for themselves. Helping is doing something for someone that they can't do for themselves. So you just continue, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. Anything that person has been successful at, whether career-wise, professional or personal, you can use that to kind of boost them up, to show them that you can do some things. You do have some successes in your life. Okay? And because the outcome for this is you want to get them to start making change statements and have the mindset, oh, okay, well, I do need to make a change. I can do this. And it makes a tentative commitment to changing the behavior. And this is my sobriety date. That's when I decided, November 25th, 2017. Okay, you know what? I'm done drinking. I don't want this life no more. If I don't stop now, I know it's going to end up worse. I done kind of did this, did that, had this happen, DWI, PI, etc., etc. I'm better than this. And that's when I made that's where I was in that step. What helped you fulfill the void you once filled with alcohol? Wow. There's a song by Leandria Johnson that I love when she sings about the holes in my soul. To be honest with you, I've always had a relationship with God. I'm sorry, just, you know, it's not I don't want to preach, but I mean, it is what it is. I have to give credit where credit is. I've always had a relationship with Jehovah God. That's who I consider my higher power. That's his name. That's who I refer to him as. That's who he is to me. When I started my walk in recovery, it was him. It was first me admitting that I had a problem, me asking him for help, Me knowing that no human power could save me, and me asking him to come into my life and help me because I was scared. I didn't know what this was going to look like. I didn't even really know if I could do it, to be honest with you. And people were supporting me, but there were also, of course, some naysayers. Even one of them was my son. He was like, yeah, mama, I'd heard that before, because I had tried before and I wasn't successful. But it's something about when you get tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're like, okay, I'm done with this. And when I had got to that point, I was like, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I need help. And I know that you're the only person that can help me, or you're the person that can guide me and strategically place me in environments and atmosphere where I can get the help I needed. I first started going to a psychologist. She couldn't prescribe medicine, but we had conversations. We had sessions. Well, the copay became extremely expensive and I couldn't afford it. So I found another program. I found a program that walked me through. And as I began to work with someone else who had walked previously before me, they were able to show me and guide me through this program. And I was able to take a real hard look at who I was. And there were a lot of things that I didn't like. I had to admit and be honest with myself on every accord. I had to dig up some old stuff that I had neatly packed and put away and, never wanted to discuss again. Some things that had happened to me when I was a child that I had no control over. But I had to pull all that garbage out. I had to dig and sift through that stuff. And I had to accept it for what it was. I had to take ownership for it. And even if it wasn't my fault, I still had to understand that the way I handled it was my response versus my reaction. And the more I cleaned out that warehouse, the more God's Spirit was able to get on the inside of me and work and start to do the things that he wanted to do all along. It's just that I had so much stuff all packed in that I had been holding on to. I was like 55 when I came in, 54, so I had some years of stuff. So the more I worked, the more God worked in me. And that made me want to work more because I saw myself changing. Now, there was one time in my change when I didn't know who I was. I was lost because I'm like, who in the world are you? This is not the person that I've known all my life. So I had to get past that. But that's basically how I did it, with the help and grace of God, Jehovah God, guiding me, leading me, people praying for me, supporting me, and working with people and being in the midst of other people who are suffering from the same disease. Okay, so in stage 2, thank you for your question, and I hope I answered it. In stage 2, we talked about contemplation. And, that's when you I admitted that I was an alcoholic and I wanted to stop drinking. Well, I first said, I'm an alcoholic and I want to learn how to drink. And, of course, a friend told me there is no such thing. You don't learn how to drink. If you're an alcoholic, you're going to stop and you don't give yourself an out. And that's what I did. I followed instructions. I took the advice that was given to me. And I worked with it. I moved with it. I put the work in. And that leads me up to the next stage, which is preparation. I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk too fast to make up for lost time. Preparation. And this is when the person is intent upon taking action soon and often reports some steps in that direction. It's where they have created a plan of action. This is what I'm going to do. And this stage is a combination of behavioral actions and intentions. But it's still not a firm commitment. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. They're creating the plan, okay? And it takes time. Change is not automatic. It takes time. I cannot stress that enough. And the decision-making process of how you do this or what this is going to look like, it may look like one day one way, and then the next second it looks something totally different. And the person that's going through this walk, they have to have a mindset of 24 hours at a time. I remember sometimes if I could just get through an hour, that was good enough for me. I get through an hour, then I take the next hour. And then before I know it, the hours turned into 24 hours, and it was a day, you know. And you just have to take it little by little, piece by piece, chunk by chunk. You get past that, and then you move on. Yes, you're correct. You don't have to be perfect. Thank you, Denise. You don't have to be perfect. You just better than you were yesterday. And that's exactly what we strive for in recovery. That's exactly what, because you're not going to get it all right. There's no, perfection, you strive for perfection, but it's okay. You know, I can tell you in stage 3 of preparation to be patient with your loved ones and your friends. It takes time. As I stated, change is not automatic. Support them, support them, support them. Listen to what they have to say. I'm going to post a whole lot of images on my sobriety page of information and resources. There are many organizations in our community that helps us. You have Alcoholic Anonymous. You have psychologists that can talk to you and can't prescribe medication. And then you have psychiatrists that you can talk to that can prescribe medication if that's what you need. You have other types of programs that can help you. You have, in some of your churches, you have a program called Celebrate Recovery that helps people with habits, hang-ups, and issues and things and addictions that they're going through. So I'm going to post a lot of those things on my sobriety page so that you can have them. In stage 3, the person is making clear statements, and they have a plan of action. And your position is to support them, encourage them, have compassion. Hey, how's your plan going? And if they say they fell off, it's not a time for you to be judgmental, even though you may be like, golly, how many times you gonna fall off? No, you never say that. And you just think to yourself, you keep trying. And you tell them that. You keep trying. My biggest example is WD-40. The reason why WD-40 has that number 40 is because they tried 39 times to get it right and they didn't. But on that 40th time, they made a hit. And it's been good ever since. So in my mind, they tried 39 times. So you encourage them to keep trying. Even if they fall, encourage them to get back up. It's okay. You fail. We're not going to focus on that. And you ask them, what is it that I can help you with? But you be mindful of what is it that you can actually do that they can't do for themselves versus what they can do for themselves. And sometimes the biggest thing is prayer. Sometimes I've sit with people and I haven't said anything. I just listen to them. And I just let them talk and rant and rave and get it all out. And then I'll be like, okay, so now what? What's next? So these are just some things to think about. And I'm in stage 4. What's my time? Okay, I'm going to stop when I get to the end of stage 4. Stage 4, and I always think of the scripture, James 2:26. Faith is dead. Oh, I want to make sure I say it right. Somebody help me out. Oh, it's on my phone. I'm going to ad-lib it. Faith without works is dead. And now that you've come up with a plan, you need to make sure that you put in the work behind the plan. You know, you have to put in the work behind the plan. And this is someone who is aware the problem exists and actively modifies their behavior, experiences, and environment to overcome the problem. I had to change everything. I had to stop going places. I had to stop being around certain people for a minute until I got myself where I was strong enough. And that usually, sometimes this period lasts 1 to 6 months. It can vary depending on the individual. But the people have made a plan and have begun implementing it. Once I made my plan of action, I started going to see the therapist. When that didn't work out, I immediately, because it was like 3 months in and I was sober, and I was like, okay, I got to do something else. I can't afford this because this is eating my pocket up. But I could afford to go buy that $80 bottle or $90 bottle of Grand Marnier. Okay, but that's a topic for another day. But anyway, I went and found something that was comfortable for me. You know, something that still provided me with the services and the help that I needed, but it wasn't costing me an arm, leg, and an eyeball. But I stayed with it. I didn't allow myself that extra time to linger. Okay? And when you're in this stage, you're still struggling with commitment. For me, my heart was good. You know, I was strong in my convictions, and I had people, and still have those same people in my life who hold me accountable. You know, who didn't just let me say one thing with my mouth and do something different. One of the things that I have to put in here is an acronym, and I'm going to post it. It's called PAWS, PAWS, and it stands for Post-Acute Withdrawal Syndrome. So when you have friends, loved ones, family members, friends of family, co-workers, etc., and they're in stage 4, they're probably going to go through PAWS. And that's post-acute withdrawal syndrome. And it irritability and hostility, depression and or anxiety, memory and focusing issues, inability to feel pleasure. They're gonna I can't go out no more. I can't drink no more. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. So what am I supposed to do? Just sit in the house and do nothing? You know, I went through that same stage. Well, basically, yeah. You sit in the house and read some literature. Weaving. I don't know, basket weaving. Find something to do. Paint a picture, read a book, find a hobby. Find something to do other than the things that you used to do. Because as surely as you let yourself too early go back into those same environments, you're going to pick those same things back up. And that goes into relapse. You know, and another thing that I struggled with is sleep disruptions. Because, and I'm going to have my holistic doctor come on 2 weeks from today and talk about how alcohol affects your body. And I remember her telling me, okay, so you've been sober a year, 24 months, 12 months, but you drank for 35, almost 40 years, and you expect your body just to magically appear back to the way it was? No, you have to let it, you got to let it come around. My sleep is much better than what it used to be. And as far as these withdrawal symptoms, I don't deal with that. Every now and then I'll have it if something big happens. But when people are in that stage 4 of action, they're going to face that. They're going to come across that. So kind of be aware of it. Have compassion for them. Be patient with them because they're trying. And you can see them trying. You know, they're just trying to figure it out. They don't know where they are or who they are. Okay, I have about 10 more minutes. And another thing I'm going to post on here. Yes. And I'm going to post some information. Relapse does not have to be a part of your recovery. And if it is, no big deal. You just get up and start back again. And I'm going to post some relapse prevention tips on my sobriety page. And I remember I used to be afraid of relapse. And a friend of mine told me, don't be afraid, just pray about it. But I know that if I keep putting the work in, people say, Bash, you going to keep doing this all your life until the day I die. I'm never going to stop chasing my recovery. I'm never going to stop talking about my recovery and how and what I used to be when I was an alcoholic. And I keep referring to that because I am not that anymore, because God has washed me clean. And 2 Corinthians 2:17, 2 and 15 tells me that I am no longer that creature. So I don't have to keep boxing myself into that. But now that I am free of that, I have to keep pushing. I have to keep working towards my recovery. It's no way I can say, oh, okay, I got 4 years now. Ooh, I'm good. And go ahead on about my business, because I am surely going to go back out and drink. Alcohol is cunning, baffling, and powerful. It's like an exercise. It's just pumping weight and waiting on the opportunity to come back in and get me and make me pay for all the time that I left it. Or at least that's the stories that I've heard others share with me about how when they relapsed, they went out and it was just like death almost, but they were able to come back. If that happens to someone in your family or a family friend, you support them wholeheartedly. There is no such thing as judgmental. Don't be judgmental. We can't afford to. Everybody's struggling with something. If they not, they lying. They're not telling the truth. We all got something. We all have something that we're struggling with, whether we're transparent about talking about it or it's in the closet or whatever. We have something that we need to get ourselves right with in order to be better than what we were yesterday. So I'm going to post all of this information on my page. Next week when we come back, I'll pick up with stage 5, which is maintenance. And I was told that's the stage that I'm in now, is maintenance. And it's still a lot of work, but I love it because I love who I am today. I love the fact that when I look at myself, I see a totally different person than what I saw 4 or 5 years ago. You know, I started slowing down in life, period. Long, about 2 years before I stopped drinking. And yes, we do. We all have something. But we have to be willing to work on it and be better. And I keep saying be better than what we were. I keep turning my little air conditioner, my little fan on over here. Be better than what we were yesterday. I mean, that's the ultimate goal for me, is to continue to be the very best that I can, so that I can continue to serve my higher power, Jehovah God, so that I can be transparent in helping others. That's my biggest thing. I just want to help others because I know that if he caught me, little old me, and all that foolishness that I was getting into and doing and et cetera, and now I'm a changed person, if he could do it for me, he can do it for anybody. And if I can stay with it, so can you. We just have to put the work in, and we have to give each other a network of support and not be judgmental. I hope you heard something that can help you. We did have some technical difficulties at the very beginning, but I wouldn't let that stop me. I kept coming off, going on back on, coming back off, going back on. I went in and erased all the ones that were not right. Please share this because we have to keep the message going. It has to be spread because when we start talking about what's causing us the hurt, it's only then can we start the process of healing. Hugs and kisses. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me. It looks like I see some sun outside. So get out there and get you a walk. That's also healthy for me, to be outside in the air, breathing, letting my lungs breathe, soaking up the sun. I need some vitamin D. All right. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you and all of your support. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that you tuned in. So you don't have to have an audience of 1,000. You could just have 2 or 3. That's all you need, because those 2 or 3 can share the information, and that's all that counts. Thank you. I will see you next Saturday on Sober Saturday Part 3 with your sobriety coach, Bridget. Thank you so much. Much love, peace, and light.